What are your thoughts on each part? I think Phantom Blood is a bit of a drag to get through, but starting from Battle Tendency onwards, I don't think there's a bad part. Of course, every part has a few bad arcs or questionable decisions, but otherwise JoJo is one of the most consistent pieces of media that I've ever gone through, and I consider Steel Ball Run and JoJolion to be among my favorite pieces of fiction ever, especially if JoJolion sticks the landing on that ending. How did you get into JoJo? Sick story actually. So one day I was bored and wanted to watch something, so I watched it. That's pretty much the gist of that. What's your favorite stand? My favorite protagonist stand and my favorite stand from a general design perspective is probably Tusk, especially Act 4. My favorite stand ability-wise is probably Crazy Diamond. It's such a simple ability and concept, but in application it's so versatile and used for a lot of cool things. My favorite stand based on its music reference is probably Vitamin C. It's a really good song, go listen to it. My favorite villain stand is probably Killer Queen. I also prefer its Part 8 incarnation more, but only slightly so. As for the stand that I would most want to have in real life, that's tough. There are so many that would be great. I don't really care about having a strong stand, I'd prefer something more utility oriented. Hang on, I'm gonna make a tier list. This one is gonna be harder than I thought it'd be.
One eternity later.
Okay, I did it. I ended up choosing Paisley Park, mostly because its abilities are vague enough that it's applicable to most scenarios, but also because it can interface with electronics, and I really like that. What do you study/work as? I am currently in college studying game design as my major. Who are your favorite YouTubers? That is a tough one. My list of favorite YouTubers fluctuates as frequently as I breathe, but if I had to pick a list of like 10 at gunpoint in no particular order, it'd probably be something like Video Game Donkey, Jack's Films, Maximilian Dude, Captain Christian, Super Eye Patch Wolf, Chugga Conroy, Scott the Waz, Game Maker's Toolkit, Alpha Rad, and Woolly Versus. And that's excluding so many of my favorites. Who is your favorite character in JoJolion / the series? My favorite character in JoJolion is probably Yoshikage Kira. He's pretty cool, I like him. As for JoJo as a whole, probably Funny Valentine. What's your favorite JoJo spin-off? My favorite is Rohan at the Louvre, mostly because I actually got my copy of it from the Louvre itself, which is pretty fun. What would be the most disappointing JoJolion finale you could think of?
It was all a dream!
Do you plan on making videos on anything other than JoJolion? Yes, absolutely. I'm a game and visual designer by trade, so I'm actually kind of out of my comfort zone talking about manga. The JoJolion content isn't going to go away, but at this point I've pretty much touched on all the main topics I've wanted to, so any new JoJolion videos will only come with the release of a new chapter or me feeling inspired by something, like the Renee Magritte stuff I've been talking about on Twitter. What's your favorite JoJolion volume cover? I'm gonna go with the Volume 4 cover. I like that one. What are your thoughts on your fellow JoJo YouTubers? I mean, I like their videos. I'm Twitter mutuals with a few of them, but I haven't spoken with any of them directly, so I don't really have much to base an impression on. I really hate that Shuckmeister guy though. Total egghead. Definitely my least favorite JoJo YouTuber. The Shuckmeister asks, will you collab with me on a JoJolion video? Absolutely, man. You know, you always were my favorite JoJo YouTuber. I'd love to make a video with you. Hit me up whenever. What manga and anime do you like other than JoJo? Excluding JoJo, my favorite manga are Attack on Titan, Mob Psycho 100, and I guess Kaguya Love is War, though I'm honestly fairly green when it comes to manga compared to anime. My favorite anime are Spice and Wolf, Mob Psycho 100, Weathering with You, and Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. What's your favorite game of all time? My favorite game of all time is Persona 3 FES. Oceaniz asks, YouTube, career or hobby? Let me check my analytics. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with hobby on that one. I mean, I'd love to have what's basically the modern middle schooler's dream job, but that doesn't sound anywhere close to viable right now. And with all the shit happening, viable really is my main concern. Who should represent JoJolion in the next JoJo game? That's a tough one. I'm gonna limit myself to only 4 characters here to account for roster restraints. Well, first you need Gappy, that much is certain. Jobin is definitely important enough to take the second spot. I'm thinking Damo for number 3 to get a bit of that sedimentary representation. and Yasuho might not be traditional for a JoJo game, but she's way too important to leave on the sidelines, and she's been in enough conflict that you can scrounge up a moveset for her. So yeah, those 4. What's the most important thing you think people should take away from reading JoJo? Plagiarism is badass. If you were to rewrite a JoJo arc, how would you? I would rewrite Stone Ocean to make Jodakujo canon. Any criticisms towards JoJo as a series? Yeah, Araki has a tendency to develop a stellar cast of characters and then barely utilize most of them, so that's annoying. What editing program do you use and what's your favorite part of editing? I use Adobe Premiere Pro for most things and Adobe After Effects for whenever I need to do something a bit more out there, like that gappy rig that I use at the beginning of the Coronation Theory and my chapter reviews. My favorite part of editing is anything that doesn't involve cropping and timing panels. That shit is super tedious. Will you expand to other JoJo parts? I mean, never say never, but probably not. I might do something on the Stone Ocean anime when that eventually airs, but I think enough people will probably be covering that. Why do you think both Yasuho and Norisuke had their arms injured? Plot convenience. What do you think will be the presence of requiem stands in the new universe? I think requiem stands are just going to remain a part 5 thing. They're so tied to the themes of Golden Wind specifically that I can't see why Araki would bring them back when he can just reference a different song, like with Made in Heaven or Love Train. Rank your favorite JoJos. Okay. Gappy is better than Johnny, is better than Josuke, is better than Jolene, is better than Joseph, is better than Jotaro, is better than Giorno, is better than Jonathan. But really I like all of them, it's only relative to each other. Will you do a face reveal dressed up as Gappy for your 10,000 subscriber special? No! Do you have a favorite band/musician that you discovered through JoJo? I would say JoJolion gave me a new interest in Elvis Presley, but I don't think that counts, so I'm gonna go with Prince. How do you feel about other people in the community/YouTube hate-mongering part 6 without any justification, or the fact that they use false claims/their own misconceptions about the park, try to pass them off as facts? Man, I'm just here to talk about stuff I like. I'm not really invested in that sort of thing. How did they get the golden Lamborghini in the tree? Now that's a good question. You see, my theory is that they put the car in neutral and then they just pushed. They just pushed it up there. What are your favorite media franchises besides JoJo? Megami Tensei, Fire Emblem, Super Smash Bros, Pokemon, The Legend of Zelda, really anything made by Nintendo, to be honest. Kingdom Hearts, unfortunately. I'm starting to realize these are all video game franchises. Avatar: The Last Airbender? Have you read or do you plan on reading George Joestar? I have read 1 page of George Joestar and that is enough for a single lifetime. What's your favorite detail shared between the 2 universes? I like how both Jonathan and Johnny lost their head protecting someone else and had acts of God performed through them. It's pretty interesting. Does your 4,000 IQ ever hinder other aspects of your life? I mean, it's really a burden to be this smart, but I do it for the people, you know? It's really all about them. If you had a say in the making of Part 9, what would the story and characters be like? Well, I'm sure whatever Araki comes up with will be way better, but I do have an idea that I really like bouncing around in my head. The idea was that the protagonists of this part would be Gappy's twin children, Giorno and Jolene. Since they'd both be Higashikatas without Ske in their name, they wouldn't be JoJo on their own, but rather JoJio when put together. Both of them are born with a completely black Joestar birthmark, and as a result, when they get a stand that ends up being shared between the 2 of them, they decide to name it Black Star. I know that sounds edgy as hell, but if you know about the album that I'm referencing here, then you'll know why that makes sense. The story would begin with Gappy's death, and their quest would follow them traveling the globe in order to figure out a way to bring him back from the dead. The story would primarily be a mirror of the whole attaining heaven plotline from Stone Ocean, because I feel something like that is necessary for giving the series a good send-off, but it would also incorporate elements from Golden Wind, like how the twins would likely be among the youngest JoJo protagonists, so they would be overseen by an older, more responsible figure that would essentially be the alternate universe version of Bruno. That character could even be one of the other Higashikatas, like a more mature Joshu or Tsurugi, or even Mitsuba's second child. But that all depends on where JoJolion leaves off. How would you like JoJolion to end? Come on man, I made a 50-minute video on this topic, obviously I'm hoping that I'm right. Sans Undertale asks, why aren't I Gappy? lack of effort. How are you able to come up with such brilliant theories? Does it all just come to you, or do you spend hours just thinking and rereading chapters? Well, first of all, thank you. Second, I don't really know how brilliant they are, considering most of them haven't been confirmed or deconfirmed yet, but my main means of coming up with theories is by trying to understand how the writer thinks when they go about writing a story. The best way to do that is by asking questions. Why did he include this line? Is there a reason the character acts this way? What's the significance of them being named this? Once you do that, you start to gradually notice that every good piece of media has an intent behind it. Themes that the creator wishes to explore with the reader. Understanding the author's interpretation of that theme is how you come up with theories and predict their long-term intentions with the direction of the story. This is why, when a writer completely changes course at the end of their story, simply to throw in a twist, people really tend to hate it. A lot of people say that JoJo is impossible to predict because it's so bizarre, but I could not disagree more. If you look at something like Steel Ball Run in hindsight, you can see how the Steel Ball Run race is meant to be a bookend to the Age of Cowboys, which is why it makes sense that the final battle with Funny Valentine features an ability called Love Train and takes place on a locomotive. There's a method to the madness, I swear. If you could be a stand user, what would your stand be? My stand would be the umbrella stand that Rai bumps into. Kidding, of course. My stand would be King of Leon. It would basically be a lion in a sailor hat that forces me to read JoJolion constantly against my will. This is a purely hypothetical, of course. Where are some good places to talk about JoJolion and JoJo in general? I have a Discord server where we frequently discuss JoJo, so consider giving that a look-see if you're interested in that sort of thing. And that's where we're gonna wrap things up. Thank you all once again for 5,000 subscribers. It really means a lot to me that you all enjoy my videos, and I'm hoping to provide more in the future. So when that happens, I'll be seeing you.